Hey everybody, let's see. How about now, everybody? Can everybody hear me? There we go. Hey, got a whole bunch of people here. We got Julie, Micah Psycho. It looks like we got a little bit of everybody here today. So, um, got a cool interview with Judge Fleischer. I'm really excited about it. Hadn't been starstruck in a long time. Lena's got me starstruck a little bit, but certainly Judge Fleischer did it. I got to learn a lot about Judge Fleischer, and I got a lot to learn about myself. So I'm excited about the interview. Very low. It does look like we got a full house. So we're gonna we're going to jump into some Judge Fleischer stuff. I had a few technical issues, of course. That's how it always works. I blame Victoria on everything. I blame her for it all. So, but we're going to jump into it and we're going to see what we can do with it. I had to cut some of it out. Just like any other interview, it's cut out, and so if you didn't catch on to something, let me know and I will explain it, and we'll do great on it. But here's the interview with Judge Fleischer.
I don't want to get kicked off. I mean, if they kick us off YouTube, I think that a lot of the
All right, I'm going to go ahead and jump in there. And we were talking about at the beginning we just started talking about YouTube, and we just started talking about um just the comments in there. Look, people need to understand that these comments have got to be sane. These comments have got to be, court related and about court. Um, we get to see the craziest comments on there. And look, you can have all kinds of comments in my chat. This isn't a this isn't a public forum like a courtroom is, or a courtroom chat. If the newspapers decide to pick up on my chat, oh well, I don't care. But we need to be respectful always, especially in the judge's chat. We just don't need to do that. No, John Beagle, Dad, this is not live. No, no, this is American Courts Live, but this was an interview I did with Judge Fleischer earlier today. So here, I'm gonna jump back into it, and we'll go from there.
people will. I don't want to. You know, it would really be unfortunate because I hope that people see it and learn and appreciate the transparency.
No,
Because not a lot of people do it.
no, and it's educational. And today there was just a lot of people wanting to talk personal business and talk about their drug use and talk about their struggles. And just using those words is enough to get YouTube to jump off. People weren't being real disrespectful. They were just, when someone can use marijuana for medical use and someone can use marijuana and abuse it. YouTube doesn't identify the difference, and so if they mention weed, YouTube's going to look at it down, in a down way, where some other people may see it as, just describing their experiences. And so,
Okay. Well, I think that if there was someone that's doing that, that we just need to, at the very minimum, admonish them. Go, look, hey, just please don't. Perhaps in Discord you can. Here, we just don't want to get kicked off. That's it.
right, they do that several times. So anyone who's been timed out, it's after several times of explaining that to them. They give them several avenues, but some people just like to see their own text. Some people just like to see the type.
Yeah, no, that's very true too. Yeah.
Kathy has been real great about inviting people to Discord. Like, hey, let's have those conversations. Let's just have them over here. And sometimes people are not tech savvy. They don't know what Discord is, or they don't want to go to Discord. sometimes people just like to see the boundaries. You see that every day in court. People who just want to test the boundaries and just see what they can get
Pushing,
with.
pushing. Like little children trying to push and push. It's like my 3-year-old man. It's always
Absolutely.
pushing.
Absolutely. And there's just people that want to see the world burn. They just want to see what they can destroy. They want to see what they can do. But I think 99% of it has been just people just not being aware of their surroundings, not reading the room properly. And so
Yeah,
that's what it ends up being. So I hear you play guitar.
yeah. It's kind of like it's what's the word? Like obsessive compulsive thing, I guess.
Okay.
I my hero is Eddie Van Halen, right? And for a while there, I just tried to learn everything note for note for note, and I was at one point could. Yeah, have you familiar with Live Without a Net?
No,
Yeah,
no.
well, I don't know if you know, but so they put out this video in the 80s, right? It's called Live Without a Net. And he has this solo that's around 13 and a half minutes. It's one of the most incredible solos that I've ever heard. And it literally floored me the first time I heard it. And I said, you know what? I have to learn it. And I did note for note. And it took me so long. And after it was it was one of the most incredible pieces of music that I've ever heard, and it's just great. And became more of like an obsession, you know. And I don't know. I just go through these stages, right? And yeah, I like to play. It's a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I just can't find anyone to play with, like in a band.
Hey everybody, I was in a rush to get this. I was in a rush to get this ready. So I'm gonna take the music out of this the second part because it's overpowering to me, and I'm assuming if it's overpowering to me, it's overpowering to you guys, and so I'm going to get rid of it off of this second part. In the end, whenever I get done with the video, I try to re-listen to it, and listening to it in there, I can't make heads or tails. So I'm gonna try it this way.
You know, yeah, I've had bands here and there, but just I guess a choice. I like a lot of hard rock, and not many people are into it.
Well,
So
and there's so much dedication required to join a band, even a small, local band that's just playing local shows. There's just so much, you
yeah,
can't
no, you're right.
tell the other band members, sorry, I got to be at work tonight, because that's a betrayal to the band. And so,
Yeah, I mean, to the point, I bought a full drum set and a bass to try to get my kid into it, right? And I put him on lessons, and he plays now with the school band, but the idea was to have him play Van Halen with me, and I'm like, I'm telling, come on, Jake, let's do it. No, I don't want to do it. So I couldn't get him to play it either, you
I did
know?
that with my son too. While he was 9 to 15, taking him to guitar lessons, I forced him to listen to Guns N' Roses, forced him to listen to the music that I
It's
love,
great.
and he hated
Yeah.
it. And now that he's in his 20s, he's playing that music. And so
Oh, that's awesome.
it took several years to beat it into him, but now he plays it, and I listen to it because I can't play it. So,
Well,
but
you'd be surprised if you try, just put some time. I'll tell you that for me, it was, God, I would say after 6 months of like serious dedication, that's when it took to where I could get to where I could fly down the fretboard, not as fast as EVH, as Eddie, but pretty darn fast, right? And you'd be surprised what you can pick up as long as you just put the time into it. It's
yeah,
it's not rocket science if you put the time into it. But
yeah.
that's the thing is,
And that's always been my problem. I'll work on it for a couple of weeks and then leave it alone for a couple of months, and work on it for a couple of weeks, leave it alone for a couple of months. And so I've learned this, a steady group of songs. Anything Stevie Ray Vaughan does, anything Jimi Hendrix does,
I love that guy.
I can play all of those.
Taking my language.
Yes, I can play all of those, but I can't do the soloing. I can't do anything special in there that they were doing that made them unique. And so, like my son can play a C chord or an E chord, and I know it's him playing it versus anyone else, just
Mhm.
like you would with Eddie Van Halen. You can hear it and you know who's playing that guitar. I had
Oh yeah.
I had heard a song one time, and I was in another room. I had heard a song, and I knew Lady Gaga was playing on the TV or some music awards, but I just heard that, I heard it, and I was like, hold on a second, that's Brian May. Walked into the living room, and of course, he was playing in the song with her. So,
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
and when you,
Yeah. And there's certain players that as soon as you hear them, you know it's them, like Stevie Ray.
yeah,
If I hear something on the radio, I know instantaneously it's him. Say with EVH, well, who's another one? Like, yeah, for some stuff, Slash. Um, yeah, and I guess, the more you play, the more you get tuned into it and you learn their little idiosyncrat, and just, it's a lot of fun. But for me, at one point, it was like an obsession. I mean, I was putting in, 6+ hours a day. And,
absolutely.
um, yeah.
To get into the fun of the court stuff, congratulations on your group of judges reducing the length of cases. A lot of the cases were going on for over a year, and I see you push
Hmm.
days quite often. So, and seeing y'all bring the caseloads down has been impressive there in Harris
Yeah.
County.
Thanks.
And so that's certainly
Uh, there are some judges that really don't care about how long. I don't want to say don't care, but are not as, I guess, don't push as much for a case to end up, you know, going. For me, I like cases to be done usually by the 180-day mark. I think that if a case stays open too long, you're doing more of a disservice because a person who needs treatment, they're not getting it, right? And if they need it and they're not getting it, they're just going to pick up another case. So you're doing more harm than good by keeping a case open for too long. There are
okay.
some cases that I've seen they're open for, 2+ years. I mean, that's no, it shouldn't be like that. We really push toward, making sure that toward the 180 day, 200, that's it. It's time to, put up.
Right. And I look at it from more of the technical side. I'm looking at it as if the case languishes for 2 years, you're not going to be able to get body camera footage. You're not going to be able to get a lot of the stuff that you would need for courts. By in 2 years, your whole recollection has changed. No witness is going to remember anything. So if you let it languish too long, no one, everyone's lost their interest in it.
Yeah. What we find a lot as well, is that what
Uh,
we find a lot, when you get to these mom and pop stores, like some of these cases where you may have like a trespass or a theft, there are these little mom and pop shops where they are, have surveillance video. Okay. They reuse tapes. They don't have an unlimited inventory of VHS tapes or CDs. So what they'll do is they will re-record over the same, you know, over footage that's older in an effort to conserve tape so as to not spend too much money. But by doing that, they're erasing potential evidence. So if you don't get on it quickly enough, any exculpatory evidence may just be destroyed.
I've got a coworker of mine that lives in Longview, Texas, and he and I was discussing the DUI versus DWI.
Mm.
Do y'all distinguish the difference, or is it just
Yeah, DWI is usually just with everybody, right? DUI is normally, where you have someone who is under 21. But by and large, here in Harris County, everything is just DWI.
okay?
In Texas, for that matter, I guess. Right. We don't use DUI here.
Okay, and we were trying to discuss if it was because of marijuana or any other sort of anything else other than
No.
DWI make.
We don't do juvenile cases here as in our court, and we don't handle any at all. But I think that there is some kind of a distinction with juveniles when they're concerned. But by and large, here it's all just DWI.
Okay.
And when it's surprising because um, most everybody else around the country is all DUI, not DWI. So it takes kind of getting used to it.
Well, and we were discussing the aspect of if you don't drink and you don't deal with the courts, you tend to build biases that it's hard to understand. And so in my world, any DWI should automatically be a felony because it's the worst thing ever. You know, in my world. And so to see DWIs being misdemeanors, it's somewhat shocking, but I'm sure there's reasons for it.
Remember, remember, people make mistakes,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
We're
Absolutely.
all human, and um, and I think that that's why they don't, because you remember when you get the felony status, you're really looking at a lot more time. So if you have someone who has just a garden variety DWI, no injury, you know, um, no aggravating factors, and it may be a first offense, I think the legislature has realized that, you just, uh, when you when you over punish someone, you may be doing more harm than good. When you send someone to prison, are you going to help them, or
No,
are they going to come out worse?
you're sending them to training camp. You're sending them to training camp to be, more of a criminal. And so,
And right, and I've seen other courts, and I mean, I don't want to badmouth anyone,
no,
but um, it would really scare me having to sending a young person to prison, because I mean, they're so impressionable. They're young. They're at the stage that they're going to latch on to whom they respect. Okay. And if they respect a bad person, they're going to latch on to and learn bad things from this person and emulate them. So that's why I think it's in some respects bad to overpunish. And it could be with DWIs. I don't know what the rationale is for making it, because when you get into the legislative history, when the legislature creates charges, when they create penalties for offenses, they don't just do it willy nilly. What they do is they do history. They look into, I guess they do reports on what would be the best type of punishment for this type of offense. How are you over punishing? How are you under punishing? And you can pull up all that legislative history and how they debate, how they came to the realization rationale as to why they decided on creating a certain bill and punishment for that bill. It's really interesting what you can do when you go to the history of the legislative session and the legislators, because you can see how they came up with certain crimes and the rationale. But nevertheless, it's just bad to overpunish, because I don't think it helps.
and that makes complete sense. In the end, we want people to get back to being productive, not just warehousing people. And so no, I completely agree with that. But just someone from, someone just, I guess, a lay person, we see it and, of course, just snap out of it and get it right. But anyone who's had a family member who's had drug addiction knows that that's not how you correct it. You don't just turn off drug addiction. You don't turn off any sort of addiction like that. And so,
Yeah, it's hard.
I,
And here with us, we try to give people the opportunity, to, you know, y- y- our first and foremost concern is public safety. That's it.
okay.
That's what we want.
So, have you ever taught college? Do you
No.
have interest in that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'd be great. I'd love to be a teacher.
Okay, and you'd mentioned in the interview with Jen Hardy how the students, how you get students wanting to understand, watch some of the YouTube videos, and so I think
Mm.
it'd be good to, have that impressionable youth where you could actually, shed some knowledge on them about that. So,
Yeah, I don't. Uh, I didn't go to law school here, so I don't have a foot into the door, like a lot of other these adjunct professors do.
right,
A lot of the people that go to school here, or the judges here, went to law school here, so they have people that they know that work there. So when a position comes open, they can ask them. So I guess I would just have to go to one of the local law schools and see if they have any kind of positions available. Which is, I'd love to do it. I
Okay.
think I would like to do it.
I could just imagine having my kid in one of your classes. That'd be an interesting, conversation to have. So,
Yeah, it'd
uh,
be fun.
you've got a great
I
staff.
mean, the way you see me in court
Yeah,
is the way I would be over there. Just
absolutely. So you've got a great staff. There's not too many courts where the where the viewers learn the staff names, and for everyone to know your staff so well, it shows how well of a machine that you have going on there, how well of an operation that you have going on.
yeah, it's great. I mean, Victoria, Ramona, and we have our little family, and we're close. We like to hang out. Every so often, we'll go out together. We'll go out to somewhere and have some drinks, or just kind of hang out and have dinner. It's been a while, but um, when you have a family like this, it really helps work well. And like you say, it's a well-oiled machine. The only problem is what you see my pretrial services officer, the one that I have in there now. Her name is Rachel, and she's just freaking just great. But I'm gonna lose her mid-October,
Well,
and I'm it really sucks because I mean that's one of the more difficult jobs here to do. She's the one who helps me if I'm going to have someone drug tested or I'm going to put conditions on them while they're on bond. She's the one that helps with facilitate and make sure that all that is adhered to and that they follow the conditions. 'Cause not only that they just sign the conditions, but that they follow it, meaning that they abide by their GPS curfews, they abide by their um, drug testing requirements, and for we've not been able to keep someone long term, unfortunately,
yeah,
like how we have, Victoria.
right, and that happens, even more so in bigger cities. So I'm saying that it's understandable. Um, you just recently lost Logan. Um, you seem to have a
No, 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 no. We didn't lose Logan. So what happened was in the district attorney's office here, they switch them out every 4 to 6 months. They move them to different courts so that they get different experience. Typically, the way it works is DAs will be in a particular court for about 4 to 6 months, at the latest, perhaps 9 months. After that, they're moved into a different court with a different judge in a different position so that they can get experience. After you've built up so many trials, then you will go to felony court. The way it works is there's three misdemeanor prosecutors here. There's a chief, there's a number two, and then there's a number three. The chief is on the top, and then three is the lowest one. You start at your number. The way it used to work is, I think it was, you start at the number three, you work yourself to number two. After you're at number two for a while, then you will become a felony three. There's three in the felony courts. There's the number three and number two, and then you have the felony chief of the courts in the felony cases. So what would happen is you go three to the two, then you become a felony three for about a year, and then you come back to becoming a misdemeanor court chief. You're a chief for a while down here, and then you go up to be a number two prosecutor in the felony courts, and there you stay there for years as a felony court two. And then if you're there long enough, then you become a felony chief. Um, and every single tier that you move through, you get a pay raise and you move up the hierarchy. Um, to become a felony chief, you're usually talking around, 7 years, maybe 8 years to 10 years. So it takes quite a while to build up. So it's not something that happens fast.
okay. Well,
So
so that
that's how it usually works.
and so
I will say it's really surprising the amount of kids that have no high school diploma. It's really, really surprising and shocking because I guess I was sheltered to think that everybody, you know, graduated high school and it was just, um, I guess I just took it for granted. That's what I'm looking for the word. When it's not like that. I mean, the amount of kids that I have come in here coming without a high school diploma, and more importantly, someone pushing them to even finish school or do anything. The amount of people that come in here that they just have no drive to do anything. It's crazy. It's staggering.
Well, and there's also
What?
there's some people who come from generational poverty who have adopted
Yeah.
that mentality. They've adopted the mentality that's school is the college educated folks are just spoiled, and they don't know the
I'm
sacrifice that so many college people go through. They don't understand how many people are eating ramen noodles in college. They think everyone's eating 7-course dinner every night.
I
And so,
try to get them to understand, and I'm trying as much as I can to get them to I guess light the spark into them to get them to want to better themselves, and I hope it works. I don't
hey,
know.
and you've done
Um,
and you've done. I'm not going to discuss, but individual videos of yours, but I'm just saying different ones. 90% of the comments I had one today I was looking at where you were talking with the defendant, and the comments on the video was that judge was speaking right to my soul. I need to get to work. And so those comments are good. I hate doing the little shorts because to me the shorts don't give the context. They don't give the full picture of what's going on. But sometimes it gets the spark over to people. Sometimes it gets them to start to think, and the more they look at it, the more they see it. And so I believe
yeah,
I believe what you're doing, and I see it with most judges. Most judges, if someone would listen, they would actually be able to reach out to people. But the behavior that got them to court is normally not the best for listening. Something's got to happen to shake them up to listen.
and that's what I do, right? And the amount of people online that get upset with me for not coddling them, I'm going to speak to you in a way that I think that I'm going to try to get you to listen. And if I coddle you, then you're not going to listen to me. If I baby you, you're not going to listen. You're going to think I'm ridiculous. But if I bring it down a notch and if I talk to you in a stern manner, like I'm going to put you over my knee and spank you with a ton of jail time, I hope that you'll actually pay attention. Now, I'm not going to do that, but I want to be stern enough and I want them to realize that, look, we want you to better yourself. We want you to listen and get this done so you can move on. And I don't know. I'm, preaching to the choir, preaching again. So
No,
I
absolutely.
got
And
to.
one of the things that's really appreciated is when you bring the mothers in, when bring the mothers in to talk with them. Um, the one thing I noticed is there's not a lot of fathers coming in. And
Yeah, you know.
I'm appreciative that the mothers are there, and different times you've got
That's
other
right.
family members. But sometimes you supporting the parents allows them to go home and tell their kids, see, I told you so. It gives the parent the backing and support that they needed, because maybe they don't have the family backing that they need in order to get through to that kid. And so that's
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. That why isn't that most of the fathers are coming as well, if they're even around, But no,
right.
that's right. I didn't, I'm just now occurred to me when you said it. Maybe I'll start asking where they're at, see if they're around.
Well, and it's just part of our society. It's part of the cultural decline. The opportunities that we have. I'll be the first to say my wife has been there for our kids a lot more than I have. I would be at work where she'd be able to do that stuff. And so, but it's just certainly you can see some of these defendants. You can just see something lacking in something lacking at home, and
Yeah,
you being able to give them that support. And like I said, if the mother's struggling, she's working 2 jobs trying to help raise the kid. The judge standing behind the mother, and you giving the mother your card saying, hey, if anything acts up, give me a call. I can only imagine if I was a kid and the judge gave my mom a card. That was to me. You make that phone call,
I
and
I I, I just hope it works.
I think
Like
it
with the
does.
one kid today, man. I really I hope it works.
Yeah, and like you said, you don't see them. I get a question all the time. Hey, is there an update to the story? Hey, is there an update to the story? And I keep saying no update's the best update possible. You don't
Yeah.
it's not good when we recognize that oh, hey, I've seen this guy 3 times in the last 3 weeks. So
Yeah,
and
we bring, and for us though, we bring a lot of people back just to maintain and see that they're not using, illegal drugs. But yeah, by and large, um, it's unfortunate we don't see a lot of the success stories because I'd like to see it. We just don't. And perhaps one day we'll have come and say, "Hey, man, I'm a lawyer now." That'd be really cool. You know?
Absolutely. And if you just watch court, you would think that everybody on the highway is a DWI and everybody on the highway has no license or insurance. But they don't understand that nobody goes to court because all your paperwork's in order.
Yeah, yeah.
I had a police officer one time help me with a lockout, and I told him I appreciate what he does for a living, and I appreciate it, and I kind of asked him how does he sleep at night, with all the stuff that police have to go through. And he explained it to me. He goes, man, we do the job for this. That other stuff is just, that's 10% of our job. Most of our job is public service, and that's why they get into that job. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
better you than me, but I get it. And so,
Yeah, absolutely.
With Houston growing as fast as it is, with Harris County growing as fast as it is, are the courts able to keep up? You can't build courthouses.
No.
Are they addressing it, or are they just reacting?
Yeah, they are. Little by little, they'll add more courts. This past year and a half, they added two more felony district courts. I think two, which would take a lot of the weight off of the other felony courts. One of the biggest problems here is the backlog of cases. I mean, you have just too many cases and too little judges and staff and services. Something has to give. So here, what happened? Two more felony courts were added. The last time we got a misdemeanor court was it 16, perhaps? Maybe 2015 or 2016 is when we got our 16th county court here. So it's been, 10 years? But we're doing really well because a lot of the judges here with misdemeanor are really handling their dockets well and bringing the numbers down. Our attrition rate, I think that we have a clearance rate of over 100%, meaning that we have more cases going out than coming in, which is really good. That's what you want. You want cases to get resolved. You want cases to be done with, and within a certain amount of time. And by and large, most of the judges here are doing that, which is great. As far as statistics, I have no idea because, Bill, statistics can be manipulated in any way. So who knows what's right? I don't know.
That's one of the
You
things.
know,
One of the things I do for a living is manipulate the statistics for my employer.
right?
And so
30% of people know that statistics can be manipulated in any way you want, right? So
absolutely.
I don't know. Yes, Harris County is growing like crazy. I mean, what we have now, 4 million people here, 4.5 million people here. It takes 2 hours to get from one side of Harris County to the other, 2.5 hours. So it's a huge place. But I think that the judges, by and large, have been doing well. The only time that we had a hiccup was when we had Harvey, right, which is that humongous flood. And then right simultaneous, right as that was ending, we had COVID. So boom, we got hit and we didn't have court for some time. So our numbers just ballooned out of control. But we are now back, our numbers are back down to where we are pre all that. So I mean, we're we're efficient.
No, absolutely. And that's seen in your court.
I mean, the turnover in just every job has just incredible turnover. It just what the average person spends 4 years at one job and then they start moving on to the other. So turnover is just, and then in some industries like the restaurant industry, God, turnover is just maddening. You can't train them before they're gone. But by and large, I think everything is it's holding up well, so that we can the system can maintain it. It will not buckle under the pressure. But it's fun. We have fun doing it, and I think that sometimes I make other lawyers mad because I hold their feet to the fire. And especially the worst part is, I was a defense lawyer for a long time. So I have friends of mine that come up here and they'll expect one or other. And I'm like, no, dude, come on, get it together. I know that we're friends, but dude, get your stuff together, man. Come on.
Oh, absolutely. And
So
that's
we still, even at the risk of making people mad, which I try not to, but it happens.
Well, no, absolutely, and that's part of the beauty of YouTube is there's that transparency, there's that accountability. In other words, people are less likely to be able to walk up and get that favor, get that country club pass, that's so called. In other words, there's a transparency. In other words, we can watch and we can see, okay, why is this DWI treated like this versus that DWI treated like that? There's a debate about it now, whereas 30 years ago, some of that stuff was done behind closed doors, and who knew who knew the dealings that was
Yeah,
being so. So
yeah.
that's what my channel is trying to focus on is more the transparency. I don't like the idea of the celebrity judges. In the end, you didn't get into this to be a celebrity. You got into it to be a judge. I'm sure when you ran for judge, you had an idea in your mind of what you wanted to be as a judge. And once you became a judge and once you've learned more about it, I'm sure you've evolved some of what your goals are. I'm sure the
You
same.
know, Bill, I don't know if you know about this, and I don't know if I've told anyone about this, but for me, right, I took 40 to 50% pay cut to become a judge. Like I took a humongous hit to how much money I was making and my standard of living at the time. And when I became a judge, we were thrust into this lawsuit where we have a young lady that was jailed and filed a lawsuit against all the judges at the time. I wasn't a judge at the time that she filed the lawsuit, but she filed a lawsuit, and eventually it instituted bail reform, right? Where by and large, the idea is for and I'm talking misdemeanor, and I'm not talking felony, but by and large, the idea is to um, get people and give people PR bonds, right?
Right.
We want you out working. We want you be out a productive member of society instead of sitting in jail, losing your job, losing your house, yada yada yada, just because you can't afford bond, especially on first offenses. People back before bail reform, they would sit in jail on a $2,500 bond, even on a first offense of something, or perhaps $1,000 bond. It was just crazy, and then they would lose their jobs. They would lose, so much. So bail reform came around, right? And we dealt with that. After this last election, I got sued again. And I got sued because of trickle down, in my opinion, trickle down politics. Um, we had a problem with some of the paper, so to speak. Um, a couple of the polling places lost paper. And that and a couple other reasons caused a number of myself and my brethren, they filed a lawsuit against us challenging the election, saying that, hey, man, they're not the rightful judges. We need to have a whole new deal. So I had to hire a lawyer on my behalf to defend me in this election contest. We had to go through the whole dog and pony show, and we didn't have anyone that helped us out. We literally were responsible for this out of our own pockets to hire a lawyer to defend the position that we have now. Um, and we're still, it is now, been done by the last, 4 months. But for the better part of a year and a half, we had to hire a lawyer and fight this lawsuit where they tried to invalidate our election.
Right. Wasn't
It
there over
was tough.
20 judges involved in that?
22
Yeah.
judges. And it was, yeah, there was judges. They sued the district clerk, the county clerk, and so we all had to basically hire our own lawyer to defend us in this deal. So you can imagine how much money, more money you're spending. Uh, so basically, what I'm trying to say is, you really got to love the job. You really got to love what you're doing. Because
Absolutely. And
this is the second lawsuit, and yeah, my wife wasn't happy. If I had the opportunity to do it again, would I? Hell yeah. Because I like helping people, and that's what it's about. you
No,
know,
absolutely.
and I hope that I hope that we have what 1,000, 2,000 cases that we deal with on a yearly basis. I hope that we've reached a couple. I think we have.
I could,
And
if we were behind closed doors and allowed to talk about stuff that we're not supposed to talk about, I could probably name off 10, 10 different defendants that I know you've helped. Um,
I
doing,
hope so.
uh, doing,
Knock
doing,
on wood.
doing the YouTube channel that I've done, I've actually had, I've had some of your defendants reach out to me, some actually thinking that I was your courtroom, some, and some that just
What?
wanted, yeah, all kinds of people go through your courtroom. So you have all kinds of people reaching out, but, and those are things I would never bring to your attention. Cause in the end, it's,
Defendants reaching out to you?
yeah, oh yeah, 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 absolutely. Maybe 6 months,
What
months.
is this madness? What?
They're just, TikTok and YouTube is an odd world. You get all kinds, but
I-
there's also been a couple that have reached out that simply wanted to say their story, and the ones that have had a chance to literally just reach out and say their story have discussed positive outcomes from what their experience in the court system. Now, I'm
It's
sure
great.
the hardened criminals are too busy out there, being criminals to want to talk about their story. But there's been people that have had, good good things to report. And um, look, in the end, your court being out there gave me a chance to meet Kathy with court vibes. I had not.
Isn't she great? Isn't she great?
Oh, she's the best. She's the best.
Yeah.
I watched her channel since the beginning. I don't watch any of the court channels because in the end, you don't want to get influenced by them. You want to be able to do your own thing. You want to be able to kind of chart your own path. But Kathy's one that you just got to watch. Just in if nothing else, you just got to watch it to hear her giggle and hear her laugh and cut up. And so
And I do almost every day as well. I watch it all the time. When I run, I listen to them as well, and I just
I just love
it's crazy, y- Bill. The amount of new friendships that we've made because of this, it's just amazing, isn't it? You know,
absolutely,
through Discord and through just and you got to figure that how did this arise? This is through COVID. This is
absolutely,
because of COVID, right? COVID created Zoom, created all everything you see now, all these YouTube channels, all these court stuff. It's all COVID related,
yeah,
right? It created the Zoom appearances, the Zoom courts, and everything, and then now it's just ballooned into this. It's just massive worldwide gathering of friends that we have from like Linus to was it we have a couple that are watching in Scotland and God,
you've
we had one in Paris,
you've got
Tokyo, just
Australia.
just
You've got Australia.
great.
I see her in there every day. A lady from Australia in there. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, and in Tokyo, me and Tokyo, 1 o'clock in the morning 3 days ago was talking about the lawsuit, talking about the trickle down political lawsuit, and me and him were just talking about it, and I explained to him, I was like, yeah, politics are nasty. Politics are nasty. They're
And it's expensive, man. It was so expensive. I mean, who are the winners? Who are the winners?
nah,
The
even
lawyers.
yeah. Well, they're certainly happy about it. But all right, that looks like it. We're gonna go back over to the. We can go back over to another screen here real quick. All right, there we go. I cut out some. The interview was about an hour and 10 minutes. Some of it was technology issues. My phone or my camera wanted to act up, and his phone was near a window, and it was. I guess he's in the big courthouse, and so his signal went bad. But Jay just put in the comments Court Vibes' YouTube link. If you don't know who Court Vibes is, please go to her channel. She's the one who scoured the internet and found Judge Fleischer and helped kind of bring him to the world and throw the goat. You're the Australian I was mentioning. And it looks like we've got Ryan from Australia also. So that's pretty awesome. Um, but Judge Fleischer did a great job. It was interesting to see just how passionate he was about the stuff. He shows his passion on the stand, but things I learned about him was he thinks, he just stops to think about stuff. He doesn't just give fast answers. He's not just looking for that quick, quick response. What I also learned was doing a taped interview is different, because as I'm trying to edit it, every time I would hear him say Bill, I would look, I'd kind of freak out, because in the end, he doesn't know me. I don't, we don't know each other. And so Shirley, another Australian. Looks like we've got an Australian crowd here, and Tokyo's here. Hey, Tokyo. But I'm going to clean up some of the others, and I'll put anything else I can put on there. In the end, I want to support him as much as possible and show it to him. Victoria, I asked about Ramona getting a raise. I don't know why you keep asking about Ramona getting a raise, but yes, absolutely. We want to make sure Ramona's taken care of. What color Skittles does he eat first? I see that, Penny Pike. I didn't ask him about Skittles. There were a handful of things I wasn't going to ask him about. A lot of people ask him about his style, his clothing, and such. But in the end, I wanted to ask some of the questions, and I got through maybe half of the questions I wanted to ask, because I wanted to ramble on, and his time's valuable. He was very gracious to give us that time, and so yep, we got UK there. We've got, I think Linus is from a suburb of the UK. She's from Netherlands, so yeah, I think isn't the Netherlands like the bad part of the UK, Linus? I don't know. We'll check on that. I've got a video of my dog. My wife made a little TikTok video of my dog, and it's too cute not to show. And then I've got a court with Judge Middleton. It was an interesting one about a Harley Davidson getting repossessed, and it to me has some important processes. When you buy a vehicle, make sure you get a title. This guy bought a vehicle, didn't get a title, and when they came and picked it up, he feels like he got his vehicle stolen from him. And I like the way Judge Middleton handles him and handles the case. And so I'm gonna show you my little dog, and then we're gonna go over to Judge Middleton.
Good morning, Mr. Roberts.
Morning.
Thank you for joining us. Once again, you got dragged into one of these tow matters. I had him call and give you a heads up, and then before you got the subpoena. So thank you for being here. You're at your new office?
I am.
I haven't been out there to see it. I've been in your old office. You've got a lot more space out there. How is it going out there?
Going well. A lot more room.
Yeah, a lot more room. You were very much confined being in the city limits there. How much space do you have?
Now we have 15 acres, but we only using about 6.
Well, that ought to be enough room. Mr. Pontius, can you hear me?
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, looks like we've got everyone that we need. I'll call the case. This is actually entitled In Re, the Impoundment of a Motor Vehicle, a 2010 Harley Davidson motorcycle. The petitioner is Stephen Pontius, and the respondent are Rachel Britton, TJ Baker, Jason Bingaman, and the vehicle custodian is not the sheriff's department. It became a broker's towing and storage. I excused Deputy TJ Baker from further proceedings in this matter because he really had very little to do with this. Deputy Lieutenant TJ Harrington is present, and Under Sheriff Jason Bingaman. Also Deputy Rachel Britton, who was here previously and testified under oath regarding the impoundment of this motorcycle. Mr. Stephen Pontius, the petitioner, is here also by Zoom. Joining us today is Mr. Kevin Roberts. He is the owner and operator of Brokers Towing, formerly of the city of Three Rivers, now just outside of Three Rivers. Mr. Roberts has testified in a number of these matters, and he has a very good knowledge of the statute, Michigan MCL 257252. Mr. Roberts, thank you for being here. I'm going to start out by swearing Deputy Britton, Mr. Roberts, and Mr. Pontius. Would you all please raise your right hand? You swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. We heard from Mr. Britton and Deputy Britton and Mr. Pontius about this motorcycle. Mr. Pontius had purchased it without a title, contended it was a salvage vehicle. Someone asked the Central Dispatch to send an officer to do a title search on it, and it was determined that the vehicle was stolen, or reported stolen, out of Detroit. So the vehicle was impounded, ultimately taken to brokers, and this was all testimony taken on August 19th. I continued the matter until today because there was some conjecture or speculation as to what actually happened to the motorcycle. So I summoned Mr. Kevin Roberts to tell us what happened. So, Mr. Roberts, did you come to be in possession of this Harley Davidson motorcycle that was impounded by the sheriff's department?
We did, yes.
What can you tell us about it?
It was brought in as an impounded vehicle. It's a stolen vehicle, requested to be put on a hold inside for further processing by Detroit Police Department.
What was the date of that?
I believe it looks like that came in on July 11th, about probably 10 o'clock at night or so.
All right, what happened next?
Oh, well, we brought it in, we made room inside, and we secured the vehicle and waited patiently while this thing took up our space for the Detroit Police Department to show up, which never happened. They decided that they had no interest in doing it. It was owned by, I believe it was Liberty Mutual, and they said it was up to Liberty Mutual what they wanted to do with it. I notified the St. Joe County Sheriff's Department. I talked to Jason, and I believe TJ Baker was in the room at the same time, and asked them if they had any further interest in it. And they said no, if Detroit indicated to them that they weren't going to follow through with anything else on it. So we made contact with Copart, auto salvage company. They'd been calling numerously to try to get the vehicle redeemed. So then they
Right,
said,
now,
pick up.
tell me who this is. Copart Auto Salvage?
Yeah, it's like an insurance auto auction. The two biggest ones we deal with are Copart, and they deal with specific insurance companies. And then there's IAA, Insurance Auto Auctions. So your wrecked vehicles, stolen recoveries, flood vehicles, anything of an insurance relation typically goes through one of them, and it's like it's an auction, just like a used car auction for salvage.
if you know, how did Copart find out about this?
Well, as soon as the owner of the vehicle was notified that it was redeemed, which the owner was Liberty Mutual, then Liberty Mutual would contact through Copart. So my guess is Detroit Police Department notified Liberty Mutual that your vehicle's been redeemed. So then that's what started the process.
Negative.
All right, well, you'll have a chance to respond, Mr. Pontius.
Oh, yes, sir.
All right, then what happened next?
They came and redeemed the vehicle. They paid our bill, picked it up, and it's gone.
So Copart did on behalf of Liberty Mutual?
Yeah, it was on August 7th. It was Scott's Towing and Salvage on behalf of Copart. So picked it up about 1:30 in the afternoon.
What was your tow and storage bill at that point?
$3,638.80.
And the vehicle was released, and that's the last you saw of it?
That's correct.
The law requires, as you know, Mr. Roberts, there was confusion, frankly. We've discussed this. The statute was contradictory, and the question of whether a petitioner had to post a bond or not was open-ended until the case of Noel v. Ritzer, who went to the Michigan Court of Appeals and said a petitioner has to post a bond before they can have a hearing. Well, this vehicle has already been redeemed, paid for, and is gone. So I did not require Mr. Pontius to post a bond, but it would have been in the neighborhood of $3,600 before we would even have this hearing. So
I don't want to interject, but under 257, 252F, the only one that can file a petition is an owner or the secured party. So unless we have a bona fide owner, we shouldn't be here.
Yes, there is certainly a compelling argument to that effect. But here we are. All right. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Roberts? Mr. Pontius, anything you wish to ask him?
No.
Under Sheriff Bingaman, anyone else?
I would just like,
All right. Mr. Roberts, thank you. It helped us get the full picture of what actually happened. And so now we know that. You're welcome to stay if you want to watch the rest of the proceedings. I know you're busy. I'll let you go.
Well,
And,
I may be able to help you through this.
all right.
Don't know. I kind of watched brief through the previous hearing you guys had, and the thing is all out of shape.
Yes.
So
All right. Well, I'll just leave you there for
I
now.
might be able to help you.
All right. I'll mute you for now, and then we'll just see where we go. Oops. All right. We've taken lots of testimony. We've heard about the fact that this vehicle was in fact reported as stolen. We discussed the fact that with motor vehicles, a title is required. And in this case, the title was in Liberty Mutual Insurance. Mr. Pontius, is there anything else you wish the court to know?
yes, there is.
All right, well, I'll certainly hear what you have to say. Go ahead and tell me.
Bill of sale. I have the bill of sale. I know it's not title, but it's a bill of sale. It's a receipt for the purchase of the property. Okay, and another thing, the day that we went to court last time on the 19th, I called Copart and he ran them into their whole system. And he said, we didn't come pick up that bike. He said, we don't have that bike. I also called Liberty Mutual. I called them yesterday. They don't have any record of that bike, that motorcycle. Why is this? Can anybody hear me?
I hear you. I don't have an answer to that question. Everything you just said is hearsay. If
It's hearsay.
anyone was here from Liberty Mutual to tell us that, or Copart.
I'm under oath.
Yeah, but
This
that doesn't abrogate the rules of evidence. What someone else told you is hearsay. That's why I asked Mr. Roberts to come and tell us directly what happened. You have a bill of sale, and as we discussed this the last time, this is a motor vehicle. It's not a piano. It's not a piece of artwork.
It's a motor vehicle. When I registered.
You have a bill of sale for a stolen motorcycle.
I have a bill of sale.
And the whole time you owned it, you never were able to obtain a title for it. In fact, the title was in Liberty Mutual. Now, I was going to give you this, Mr. Pontius, because I got what I will refer to as ex parte communication from someone that watched the hearing, and it was put in the file, and I read it before I realized what it was. So it doesn't really affect my decision, but you're entitled to know because I didn't read it. A viewer, his name is Martin from New Mexico, said, I am a retired casualty insurance loss control services with an emphasis on pre-loss property safety inspections. In New Mexico, we aren't in New Mexico, statutes, an insurance company is fully entitled to all physical property ownership rights upon full payment of claims regarding said physical property. I presume statutes in Michigan and other states are similar. The most likely scenario is the insurance company transferred the vehicle to itself to preserve their rights subsequent to paying a claim proffered by the previous owner. The person who owned the motorcycle, it was stolen, and they made it a claim with their insurance company, and they paid for it. And when the vehicle was recovered, the insurance company had taken the title to it. And the insurance, now absent that, Mr. Pontius, in order for you to get that bike out of impound, you had to pay, as of that date, August 7th, $3,638.80. This company paid the impound, had the vehicle taken, and presumably sold at auction.
I wasn't able to get the bike out no matter what. There was a police hold on it.
Yes, because it was stolen. So
Because
you're
it was
certainly going to have a
recovered as
right to
well.
appeal this, but I agree with Mr. Roberts. You don't even have standing to bring this action because you're not the title holder of the property. I find that the police agency complied with the procedures established for the processing of abandoned vehicles under the statute 257, 252A, B, and D. It is ordered that no refund of charges shall be made. The vehicle has been redeemed.
Yeah. I was never given the opportunity to redeem the vehicle. And why till that day? Why till the 7th? Because that's the day they picked it up.
Yeah,
That's the day. What about the day after, when I was claiming the motorcycle as mine? Here I am, but nobody would listen to me, and I couldn't get it out because there was a police hold on it.
nobody would listen to you because you didn't have a title for it.
But I have a bill of sale. I bought the property.
I don't care. I have a bill of sale is somebody can write on the back of a napkin.
Well, I'm not going to register my vehicle with the state.
Well, so you're not the owner of it, according to the state. So
right.
I find
I'll
that the
appeal it.
police, well, you can certainly appeal it.
I will.
The police Deputy Britton, the sheriff, undersheriff, went the extra mile contacting Detroit directly. Mr. Roberts does what he does. He comes and answers the call, impounds the vehicle, gives notice to the title holder. The title holder came and redeemed it. And
I think
you
it's
are,
awful funny that everything that everybody's telling me, I can't verify. Fine. You want to cut me off? Have a good day.
well, no, I'm not gonna cut you off, but there's nothing else to say about it. You didn't have the title. The
I
police
don't need the
did
title to
follow,
purchase it. If I
you
wanted to
need
make
the
parts out
title,
of
you
it,
don't need the title, you need the title to own it. I'm not gonna argue with it anymore. I've ruled in
do I need a
their
title to hold
behalf.
my couch?
You can appeal it and I will enter the order today. Mr. Roberts, thank you for being here. Everyone else, you're all good to go. And I'll send you a copy of that order, Mr. Pontius.
Yeah. I disagree and I don't accept it, but
All
Just
right,
for the
well,
record.
you don't have to. Deputy Britton, you had a question?
Yeah, when this is done, can I go into a breakout room with Mr. Pontius so I can give him an update on the criminal side of this? If that's
Yes.
okay with you, Mr.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Pontius, you would like to talk to the officer?
yes, I would. I'd like to apologize to her for, I was just trying to get some information and, I just want to apologize to you for bringing you in like this.
You're okay. We can talk in the
No.
breakout session
All
and
right.
I'll give you an update on that side.
All right, just click join. Mr. Roberts, thank you for your help. Some
Yep.
point I'll stop out and visit your new office.
Sure.
Okay, so.
Mr. Pontius, click the button that says join the breakout
I
room.
was waiting for you to, did you finish giving your order?
Yes, I did.
Are we done?
Yes, we're done.
So Judge Middleton has the happiest courtroom reporter because that courtroom reporter does not have to type one extra word when it comes to Judge Middleton. He says what he means what he says, and gets right to the point. I really enjoy watching him and seeing what he's doing. Absolutely, Jay. Middleton 1, Pontius 0. Judge Middleton's like I said, it looks like he's napping between every sentence he says, and I don't think there's a word he hears. He's got some good history. If you look back on it, there was a serial killer, if I'm remembering right, that was writing him letters when he was a prosecutor, and he was able to goat the serial killer into admitting to enough to where they were able to charge him with more. I'm messing up the story horrible, but it's an interesting story back whenever he was a prosecutor. In Florida, if you buy a vehicle and there's a lien on it, someone said they don't get the title. And Penny Pike said they don't get the title to the car until there's no longer a lien. In Florida, we get a title, but it'll have the lien holder's name on the title, but you definitely get a title for it. I actually bought a Ford truck from a Ford dealership, and after a month I had to return it because they were never able to get the title for the vehicle. And so if you don't have a title, you don't own the vehicle. That's just all there is to it. A bill of sale, like he said, you can write a bill of sale on a napkin. So Jay, it says before he leaves, you should see if he'll do an interview. Jen Hardy reached out to him for Jen Hardy reached out to Judge Middleton for an interview, and he was very gracious to her and just simply said he has no interest in it. He did one with the drummer Dave. I think there was a drum some drummer that did an interview with him, and it was a really good interview. So I see that there, Victoria. You got to get the full story. I'll research it. And I'll get you a full story. But thank you everyone for coming out. Thank you for watching tonight. Again, everybody, Judge Fleischer did a great job. He answered the questions. He was very candid. I was surprised he he answered a lot further than some of what I would have, but he did it. I was impressed. I was impressed by his answers. I'm normally impressed by him during the courtroom during the day, but getting to actually interview him, getting to talk to him, and seeing his perspective about things, just in the end, it made me more of a fan. Um, I'm trying to be kind and do this rating thing, and I was just looking on there. The only one I can find that is playing right now is Kitchen Court Chats. I don't have a lot of experience watching that channel, but I'm going to send everybody over that way. Tell her we said hi, and we're going to go over to Discord. I think Jay and Julie are twisting my arm and said we're going to go there and talk. But Myco Psycho, thank you so much. Judge Fleischer was very gracious towards the moderators in his court chat. We did talk about that a little bit, and he's committed to running a good court. He's committed to having a positive experience in his court chat, and I don't think he understands all the YouTube rules. I don't understand all the YouTube rules. That's why I work with Jay and Linus and different ones, Myco Psycho, and I have to look over at the chat to see who all the mods are. And oh yeah, Victoria Bernal, that's our super mod. Roll on G, she does great. And they do stuff that's also off the scenes, for I'd say the hour before our live tonight. Roll on G and me were texting back and forth, and we're looking at different courts and stuff. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes with these mods. They do great. There's a link tree up there if you want to thank them. There's a buy me a coffee. There's all kinds of different links you can give. You can empty your bank account there. They're happy there. So Throw the Goat saying KCC is fun, not PC. Okay, well, if you're sensitive and you don't want to get your feelings hurt, don't go over there. If you want to go over and have some fun, they're not PG. Yeah. In the end, I don't watch the court channels for a very simple reason. I don't want to taint what I'm doing. I'm a great follower. I'm a great mimicker of patterns. And so if I watch someone else's channel, I'm going to end up being just like that channel. And so I would rather do what I do. And yes, Victoria set up today's interview, and I thank her so much for it. She kept me informed on it. She did great. But I don't watch any other court channels, and it's not to slight anyone. They all do a good job. They all do what they do. That's why they have the audience that they have. I just simply, I want to do what I'm going to do, and I want to learn from the experience I have with you guys. So, all right, we're going to go over to the chat. Y'all have fun. Y'all have a good night, and we'll see you next time.